Welcome to the Center for Healing podcast, where we talk about all things trauma, trauma informed, and healing. I'm really excited today because I get to interview someone that I've actually co-created a course with that we're very excited about. And her name is Tara Russell. So, Tara is a parenting coach, the co-creator of the Trauma Aware Parenting course, and the author of two children's somatic awareness books. Tara is also a certified embodied processing practitioner and children's mindfulness practitioner. And as a mother of two, Tara brings a beautiful blend of lived experience, neuroscience, and body-based wisdom to her work. Her passion lies in helping parents heal their own childhood imprints while supporting their children to grow up feeling safe, seen, and connected. So through her compassionate approach, Tara teaches that parenting isn't just about guiding our children, it's about reparenting ourselves and breaking the patterns we inherit so that future generations can thrive. So thank you for coming on, Tara, today.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So I'd love to start with your story. So I'd love to know, and I know already, but I'm sure the listeners would love to know what led you to working with parents to and sharing this trauma-informed way of approaching parenting or that connected parenting style.
Yeah, so what's really close to my heart is teaching parents. Mostly, I think my favorite thing is to teach parents how to help children with their feelings. Throughout my journey, what I experienced was in my teens, I had depression, and then in my 20s, pretty much all through my 20s, I struggled with addiction. And then I wound up in rehab where I began to explore myself, and like in our circles and groups, they'd ask me, how are you feeling today? And I'd always be like, oh, I'm feeling good today. And they'd always look at me and say, but what's underneath that? And I was looked at them like, what are you talking about? So yeah, in rehab, I began to become aware of more of my feelings. And I realized, oh my God, I've never been taught about feelings. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't really experience them, which obviously led me to addiction and depression and stuff like that. So now, yeah, it's my passion to teach other people about their feelings, and especially children, because yeah, I want them to be able to grow up knowing themselves and feeling embodied. And yeah, that's the start of it.
So do you think that because you're a mum of two now, so do you think that becoming a mum was like integral in like you diving even deeper into this work and how like how we can parent different styles of parenting? Is that something that ignited this passion for you to work with
Yeah.
parents?
Yeah. So when I became a parent, I began exploring all the parenting books and courses. I did a lot of study in all of that, and I gained a lot of knowledge and everything like that. But there was always something missing when it came to being able to implement that into my parenting. They taught you how you should be, what you should be doing with your kids. But for someone who carries a lot of trauma, I felt like they were skipping over that part.
Yeah, it's like they give you, like I felt for things that I read, and obviously you come home with this little baby and they're like, here's the nappy cream and nappies, and there's no, it's going to bring out every single trauma that you've ever had in your
Yeah.
whole life from your childhood. Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of like books on behaviors and scripts on what to say. And yeah, like you said, when you learn about trauma, it's like the script is not deep enough. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the parenting stuff would say, take a look at the way you were brought up. And I suppose taking a look at the way you were brought up is maybe like the first step, becoming aware of some of the impacts of your own childhood. But nothing gave you the strategies to begin to heal. That's where it led me next to, yeah, starting my embodied processing.
Yeah.
So that's where it led me to doing embodied processing practitioner course. And yeah, that began to deepen obviously my own practice. And then I began working with clients as well. I also, did a lot of my own sessions, which, has been absolutely life changing. And brought me to the place where those sort of came together. So the parenting and the trauma work came together, and that was a missing piece that I was missing, because had all these parenting strategies, but at times my nervous system was so overwhelmed that I wasn't able to actually parent in the way that I wanted.
Yeah.
Um, Bringing trauma into that and healing my childhood wounds, I was able to, yes, clear out some of that stuff that gave me the space to then begin to parent how I wanted to.
Yeah, it's like really about showing up how we wish we could show up. And yeah, when it comes to being trauma informed and having that somatic awareness, and something that we teach in the course. It's even if you're being nice and suppressing your angry feelings, like your child feels that, and it can be felt in the household. So that's where like all the information that you learned about parenting and parenting styles and strategies, it really could actually land, and you could actually implement them from like genuinely a regulated state and showing up as a parent that we want to be. Do you have any moments where has there been any parenting moments where it brought up something for you from your childhood that you can think of?
There's a couple I can think of. I can think of like times when say my child is doing a behavior that I don't particularly like or that stirs up a trigger in me. I would have this tendency to want to ignore him, walk into the other room and ignore the behavior. I reflected on that, and that was something that had happened to me as a child. Becoming aware of that, noticing that in my body, moving through that in sessions, and then changing the way I approach that. So instead of walking off and ignoring him, I would then begin to make the connection with him, understand what was underneath the behavior, and help him move through his feelings, because I had that space that had cleared in me. So I was able to then be the embodied guide that he needed in that moment. Other ones I think is my daughter and imaginary play. She constantly would ask me to play imaginary play, and I can remember as a child, she reminds me so much of me. Just a great imagination. And I had memories of mum not really knowing how to connect with me in that way, so I shut that imagination play down within myself. So I noticed that coming up with my daughter too. When she'd ask me to play, there was just this massive, I don't want to. So going back and exploring that in a session, dropping into that memory of my own and feeling that sadness of not having someone to play with, and moving through those emotions, and giving myself love, I was able to then connect with her and do imaginary play again. So that was
That's so
amazing.
beautiful. And it's really about breaking those generational cycles, and you're doing that. And one of the quotes in the course that you added, which I love, is it's really about reparenting ourselves while raising our kids. And those examples are perfect because that's what it looks like day to day. And that's why we called it trauma aware parenting, because it is really about like slowing down and becoming aware, and not just thinking this is just the way I am, or this is just the way that my kids are. And instead of trying to change our kids' behavior to make it easier for us, we're looking at ourselves and seeing like, where are we? Why are we stressed all the time, or avoidant, or angry? And is there a way that we can ground ourselves and have capacity for our kids to express themselves and feel safe and everything like that? And that's one of the reasons why I approached you. And it was funny because you were like, because your trade originally was a hairdresser, and you're like, I'm going to open up a salon. Like both the kids are at school and kindy, so you had space for that. And I'm like, no way. I know. I'm sure you're a great hairdresser, and I'm not like taking away from that, but no way. Like, I know your passion is this conscious and connected parenting and trauma aware parenting. And for me personally, I was like, I'm sick of wanting to give this advice to parents, because for me, my experience was helping so many adults, collectively thousands of sessions, and now training practitioners in helping heal their inner children. And so I've learned so much from these incredible people that, just like you reconnected with your inner child, you're reparenting your inner child, being that parent that you didn't have, getting those needs met that weren't met, so we can show up differently for our kids. And I like have so much to say about that, so much to share. And I just thought it would be beautiful if we could bring your knowledge and your lived experience, and you as a parenting coach, and you've written 2 books for kids, like all your incredible work. I'm like, no way you're going back to the salon. Like, we're going to do we're going to do this together, and we're going to create a ripple effect for parents, for grandparents, for teachers, for practitioners, for people that practitioners do inner child healing and things like that. We can bring both of that together, both of our experiences together. And I like to call it like trauma preventative parenting, kind of, because a lot of us are like, oh, I'm sure I've traumatized my kids, or I don't know what to do in this situation, I don't know how to show up. There's always questions like that. I wish I reacted better. And it's, yes, I know how to come back and I say sorry, and like those kind of things. But like, how do we prevent that whole situation in the first place? And it often comes back to our nervous system and our involvement, and not just about sending our kid to a psychologist and telling fix them. It's actually like a whole family healing that needs to occur. Do you have any examples, or over time, like one of your kids is having big feelings, and maybe you can give an example that we give in the course of how you handle it pre-working on your nervous system as opposed to post? I know you talked about like your daughter and that imaginary play, but I think you mentioned in the course about your son being angry. Was there a clear before and after when you've done the work that we share in the course for parents?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say before, when my son would get angry, there would be a massive like wanting to fix straight away. What can I give him if he's angry about something? Okay, you can have it. Completely skip over that anger that he was experiencing and trying to fix that emotion straight away so that he wasn't getting angry, and to calm him down by giving him something. And then through learning what I have learned and being able to embody anger within myself, because I think that's an important thing too. What emotions you push away in your children are ones that usually are quite suppressed within yourself, or you're pretty shut off to them or
And
scared.
they will throw it in your face if you're they will mirror it back to you if you're suppressing it.
Yeah, definitely. So that I think for most girls too, like it's anger is something that we all have to begin to, really start to embody, because I feel it's shut down a lot more in girls when we're little, being the good girl or stuff like that. You never
I
really
have to agree. Sorry to cut you off. I've had so many conversations with women, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, that they've seen anger as a bad thing, that it wasn't safe to show it or feel it. And they're like, I just don't feel it. And they were quite proud of that. And I'm like, it's somewhere there. Like, we are meant to have all the emotions. And yeah, like you said, that good girl, that suppression that's expected, it can really come out in toxic ways, even physical issues as well. So that's a really important point that you made.
Yeah, definitely. And anger brings in power. Once we've moved to that power, there's a strength and a power within us, which is really lovely. So, once I began to get in touch with anger within myself and process some of the anger from my own childhood experiences, throughout doing that, there's been times where my son has been really angry about something. He gets triggered quite easily because he actually has ADHD and autism. So when he has his emotions, they're actually quite heightened and he's set off quite easily. So, with his anger, I was able to begin to sit with him when he had that anger, whatever it was about. He'd scream and run off into the room and throw himself on the floor. And I would just begin to sit with him. When kids are angry, sometimes you can't get too close, but I began to just sit with him right next to him and say, I'm here, it's okay. And tune into his nervous system, sort of feeling what he's feeling, attuning to him. And I was able to just naturally let him move through that. And it maybe took 7 or 8 minutes with him doing that. And then this sadness washed over him. And then he came in and sat on my lap and had a big cry. And I just held him and we rocked. And yeah, and then
Wow.
after a couple of minutes, there was a smile back on his face. And I think that was the first time I felt really proud of myself too. I was like, oh my God, this is what they're talking about with being able to hold your child's emotions. And so that was a really beautiful moment for me in my parenting, and something that, yeah, I'm able to do now with my kids. My daughter also, I've always tried to not shut down anger within her, always redirecting it to a cushion or asking her where she feels it and saying, oh, you're angry. And she's quite, what would you say? She's quite forward with being able to say when she's angry or say no to something she doesn't like. I've noticed within
That's a
her.
good trait for a woman to have
Yeah.
when she's older. I like that.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, because I realized in my childhood, my no was shut down. Being able to set a boundary and stuff was shut down because of that healthy aggression or healthy anger or boundary setting wasn't allowed. So that's something I've, yeah, really wanted my daughter to be able to express her emotions in that way, so that she knows when something's not right and she can say no. And yeah, so I'm happy with
Oh,
that.
that's amazing. And again, like giving our kids that childhood that we, didn't get. And I think that's again why we call it trauma aware, because it's, yeah, just like being aware of what we're passing down and what we can change. And so they're really beautiful moments that you've had in those challenging moments for you to reassess your stress response, and you've worked through that to hold
Yeah.
space for theirs. And I feel like from my perspective, from like helping so many adults with their trauma healing, the less suppressed emotions that we have and blocked emotions that we have, the less trauma that we have. So when we have a strong emotion and our parents say stop, or because there's no capacity to hold space through our kids, that energy gets locked in the body. But
Mm.
stress gets locked in the nervous system and it builds up, and that causes anxiety, depression, and things that you personally have experienced, as you mentioned. Such a gift that you can sit with him and he can actually allow the whole process to happen and move through, and it not lock into his soma, into his body. He's so lucky to have you, because although he has some sensory things going on and he's wired quite differently, which can really amplify all of that, you just doing that will allow him to be able to hold space for himself, I'm sure, as he gets older, and he'll let himself process their emotions, and maybe the emotions won't be as strong because you've modeled and showed him that he can actually get through it, and you don't shame him or shut him down. So I think that's a really beautiful gift. And in the course we do share a lot of those real life examples. I think they're really important and inspiring. So there's probably parents, grandparents, caregivers, foster parents listening, and they might be thinking, I've stuffed up here. I feel really bad. Like I do all those things that they're saying not to do. What would you say to those people that are listening?
Yeah, that there's always time, like to begin to start healing, like you're not locked into the past, and we can begin to change our relationship with anyone, really, not just our children. Yeah, that can begin straight away. So you're not locked into anything. I think a lot of people go, oh, it's too late, or to try and fix this, maybe even with their teens. But it's never too late to begin to start reconnecting and looking at our own nervous system and healing our traumas. That's still going to make a big effect, no matter what age they are. They may even be adults now and still carrying, stuff that they've done to their children. I've heard lots of stories of people healing fathers and sons, and that when they're much older. So yeah, I invite you to, not really give up. There's not really a certain time when you can begin this journey. Like it's never too late to
I
begin.
love that. And I find it like really empowering, because you get equipped with a lot of knowledge and tools, in a sense of it's not too late, because you can have a 40-year-old child and you can still have the empathy and see in them that there maybe there's still like a 3-year-old in them that's upset. There's still like a 12-year-old in them that wasn't heard. And it is never too late to start to repair that connection and repair that bond. And it also gives you a lot of knowledge on how to reparent your own inner children, where you don't, are kind of looping back to this. You might not agree with how your partner's acting. You might not like your children's behavior. You might want everyone else to fix what they're doing, when this is actually you turn in on yourself and you say, what can I do? Is there something that I can do? And what usually happens is that because all of our nervous systems are connected in the house, and we try and let go of shaming everyone and trying to control everyone, and we start to heal ourselves and heal our nervous system, it really does start to heal the whole family's nervous system, and you'll just see changes around you and it will just start to happen. Yeah, like I said, it gives you this real empowered state of knowledge, but also embodiment and implementation. Are there any last words that you would like to share with the listeners that may be considering taking the course, or somewhere they can start if they're wanting to maybe read a book first or do something like that? Is there anything that you can
Yeah.
share?
So yeah, parenting, yeah, that what from going off what you just said, the big thing here I think is often parents look, how can I fix my child, what they're doing? How can I fix that behavior? And they tend to then project that onto their child when really it's turning back on yourself and beginning to gain awareness. For me, that's been through sort of meditation and yoga and movement and all that sort of stuff I needed to do to be able to unlock my feelings, be able to become aware of my body. So I suppose, yeah, that would be the first step that I would say to parents, is gaining awareness and of yourself. And yeah, Mel said, in a family environment, I've noticed this so much in our household. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, the children will be like mirroring me and they'll be running crazy around the house or snatching toys off each other. And I stop and I think, okay, is this something inside me? And it always is. It's always something inside me that I'm feeling. So as soon as I then go off and process what's going on within me, I come out and everything shifts. So it's, yeah, amazing to see that. And I think, yeah, that's the most important thing that I can probably offer to parents, is to, yeah, look inwards. Everything is an invitation. Every trigger, everything is an invitation to begin to turn backwards and look into yourself.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think it's not coming from a place of you're beating yourself up, everything's my fault, everything's because of me. I don't think that's the approach that you're trying to explain. It's more like being intrigued and having that self-inquiry to see if there's anything in you that can shift, and looking at it as almost like personal development rather than trying to find what's wrong with you and fix it, like you said earlier. So absolutely love that. So for those that are listening and you want to find out more about the course, you can go to the Center for Healing.com and go to I believe it's on the educational courses page. You can also download our app. So go to the Center for Healing either in the Google App Store or Apple App Store, and you'll find the app with the little pyramid. And we've made the course so it's all subtitled. So if you're in newborn phase, breastfeeding in the middle of the night, you don't have to listen to the course. You can read the course as well. And if you're interested in purchasing Tara's books, we've popped that link in the show notes below. And they're really beautiful books to take your children through. It's something I wish that one of my parents took me through, and I'm sure that's why you created it, Tara. The little ones to be able to connect with their body and understand how they're feeling and understand the somatic side of being a human.
Yeah.
And yeah, would love for you to, yeah, reach out if you have any questions about joining the course. And there's a community that comes with the course too. Or if you want some one-on-one parenting coaching with Tara, we'll pop that link in the show notes as well. Or you can contact us for her details at thecenterforhealing.com and we'll send you her link to book in with her. So thank you again so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, looking forward to seeing some of you listeners to come into the parenting course community if you choose to. Otherwise, I'm sure we'll see you around. And thank you for listening. Goodbye.